Healing from trauma, it isn't a straight line. It's a journey, for sure, but it is a possible one. In this explainer, we're going to talk about that path to recovery after sexual trauma or domestic violence. We'll look at the journey from hurt to healing and really drive home one crucial message. You are not alone in this.
Okay, let's start with what is, without a doubt, the single most important thing you need to hear. Let's just let this sink in. What happened was not your fault. And healing? It's absolutely possible. Let's hold on to that as we go through this together.
So where does any healing journey really begin? It starts with acknowledging the hurt. It's about giving yourself permission to feel what you feel and, just as importantly, understanding that you are not the only one who has ever felt this way. Not by a long shot.
Does this question hit home for you at all? These feelings, the constant fear, those intrusive memories that just pop up out of nowhere, maybe a sense of being numb to everything or carrying this heavy weight of shame. These are incredibly common echoes of trauma. If you recognize yourself in these words, please know that your reactions are so valid.
Support is for anyone who's been impacted by these experiences. It doesn't matter if you're a survivor of sexual violence, if you're recovering from domestic abuse, or if you're just struggling with the after effects like nightmares, we're always feeling on edge. Help is for you. There is no such thing as a trauma being bad enough to qualify for help. Your experience, your story, it matters.
And here's something else that's so crucial to understand. Trauma doesn't have an expiration date. It really doesn't matter if it happened last week or decades ago. The impact can stick around, and the pain you might be feeling today is completely 100% valid. There is no statute of limitations on your healing.
To really start healing, it helps to understand these echoes of trauma, the psychological footprints it leaves behind. When we start to recognize these responses in ourselves, it's actually really powerful because it helps us see that what we're feeling is a perfectly normal reaction to a completely abnormal situation.
We've all heard the letters PTSD, right? But what is it really? Well, one thing it's not is a sign of weakness. It's more like your brain's survival system is stuck in the on position, trying to protect you from a danger that's already passed. That's why it can show up as being constantly on edge, having trouble sleeping, or reliving what happened over and over.
And beyond being hyper-aware of everything, it's also really common to feel a deep, persistent sadness, or, maybe nothing at all. That emotional numbness, that flat feeling, it's actually another protective mechanism. It's the mind's way of trying to shield you from overwhelming pain by just turning the volume down on all the emotions, good and bad.
Okay, so knowing all of that, what does the path to healing actually look like? Let's dive into that now. And let's think of it as a journey, one that's guided, safe, and always taken at your own pace. Before a survivor even thinks about taking that first step, there is often this deep, unspoken fear. It's a question that can feel like the biggest wall to climb before ever even asking for help.
And the answer to that question has to be a clear, simple, and immediate yes. The absolute foundation of any real healing is starting from a place of belief. It means your story will be heard in a space that is completely free of judgment. That part is non-negotiable.
This also gets at another huge fear, being forced to relive every single detail. But real healing isn't an interrogation. You are always in control. You are in the driver's seat. You decide what to share, and you decide when you're ready to share it. The whole process is built on a deep respect for your boundaries.
All right, let's get practical. How does this healing thing actually work? Let's pull back the curtain a little bit on the therapeutic approach and look at the actual tools that are used to help you rebuild.
So the approach is this really sensitive, structured process. It usually starts with specialized therapy to safely process the trauma itself. Then from there, it moves into building these really practical coping skills, things that help you manage your emotions in the moment. And finally, it all builds toward empowerment, reclaiming your sense of self-worth and your own personal power. And these methods are backed by solid research. You might hear terms like EMDR, which cleverly uses eye movements to help the brain reprocess traumatic memories and dial down their emotional charge. Or something like CBT, which helps you spot and challenge those negative thought patterns that trauma can leave behind. These are proven, effective tools to help the brain heal itself.
Okay, let's move to the final, and honestly, the most hopeful part. After understanding the pain and the process, what's the goal here? What are we working towards? It's all about reclaiming your story and starting to envision a future that's defined by you, not by what happened to you.
This right here, this is the transformation we're talking about.
The whole goal is to move from that feeling of shame and self-blame to a place of self-worth and self-trust, to go from constant fear to a genuine feeling of safety, from isolation to healthy connection. It's not about erasing your past, but about fundamentally changing the power it has over your present and your future.
Ultimately, this kind of healing has real-world effects you can feel every day. It's about being able to finally feel safe in your own body again. It's about learning how to build the trust and the boundaries you need to have the healthy, fulfilling relationships that you absolutely deserve.
So we'll end with this question. And it's not asking you to have all the answers, not at all. It's just a gentle prompt to maybe consider. What could one small, tiny first step toward feeling safe again look like for you? Because that one little step, that's where the entire journey of healing begins.